And I don't just mean the rhinos, so that you know where your assets are. I mean the people. So my little ops room ladies sit there and watch the little troops running around all over the screen, and it gives a fantastic control, a command and control platform. So they can say, oh, you guys go left, you're the fastest respondent. Okay, wait there, etc. It's a awesome thing. And of course the personal protection stuff. So that's, on equipment, there's much I can say because everybody knows already. The main thing that I would like to mention is that we are not really here to sneak around and catch a poacher. We are here to protect the rhinos. And there's a number of different ways that we look at that. We say the rhino is actually the courier of the asset. The asset is actually the horn. So is it necessary for me to track the truck that is carrying the gold bars? Because once the truck has been hijacked and the gold has been stolen, I can find the truck now, but where's the gold? So if you're not going through a dehorning process, get a tracker in the horn. Then your teams on the ground can track the horn when it's in transit on the landscape. There are technologies like this. We dehorn, so I don't have that privilege. It doesn't stop the people from shooting the rhinos. But anyway, standard operational procedures, I've said it before. There's some examples of equipment, by the way. Those little cheap camera traps, and I have so many of them lurking around over here because the elephants like to squash them, and the hyenas like to chew on them, and then they come into me, and I sit and fiddle with them on weekends when I'm bored, and I get them all functional again. But they're relatively cheap over-the-counter things, and they give us, we have to sleep at some stage, but this will send an image through to the cell phones of the ladies in the operations center when they see a picture like that coming in. It's an old picture from 2015. And we caught the guy at the back is carrying the rifle. The guy in the middle is carrying the saw to cut off the horn. There's no ambiguity around what their intentions are in the reserve. Anyway, just a nice example. Crime scene management, these are all standard operational procedures that need to be in place. We found that our conviction rates are so low, not because we don't catch the guys, which is also true, because our guys on the ground were not skilled in handling the chain of custody of evidence or whatever it might be. Somebody in the waiting room, and my interconnection is. So the have a look at this guy that's been arrested there by Black Mamba, that there was heavy-handed excessive use of force or anything like that. Those ladies did impeccably well. What have I got here? Monitoring, that should be of, not or. Monitoring of ranges and the activities. It gives you such a great heads up on whether your deployment strategy is working, firstly, whether you need to modify, and it protects them. Man, if I had 10 cents for every time I get accused that my rangers are the reason why the rhinos are dropping, and why didn't they respond faster? Why didn't they pick up that carcass within 2 days? How can somebody get away with this? And so on. I know where my rangers are 24/7, and I can go back in the history on my little software app, and I can show this is where they were, this is who was on duty, etc. It protects them, not just from any conflict situation. If it comes through on my phone now that, let's say, the Golf 1 team, Felicia Mogokani, she needs help because they're stuck in a herd of buffalo and they're chasing them and they're stuck up a tree or whatever. And these are real things that happen. I can go directly to them. I don't have to say, where are you now? Oh no, go past the termite mound. And remember the last time there where we darted that elephant? It's just a little bit further from there, la, la, la. I don't have to ask. Just say, go to that, boom, there. So real-time monitoring of ranges protects them from speculation from the public, from your own internal investigations department, plus it protects them from risks on the landscape. And then we've spoken about monitoring of the actual assets. And when I say monitoring of the risks, I've got tracking units in all my vehicles that come in through the gate. They pick up a little thing, it's the size of a matchbox, put it on the dashboard, and then it's labeled as contractor A, because somebody's coming to repair the thatched roof on a lodge or fix a pump somewhere, and it's an outside person, and so on. I can see where he is and I can see where he was. So yeah, and it's the same with the rhinos. I think it's quite important to track those. So I have many game drives. I have 14 commercial lodges that make use of this landscape here. Some of them come in with 2 game drive vehicles at a time. And there's always a vehicle that comes in before that to drop off chairs around the boma, whatever you want to call it. So every one of them must be tracked when they come in. The real-time reporting, I think, is critical. I have 3 boards that I'm responsible to. These people that are very bored, I think, a board, and they crawl out of the woodwork, and it's everything from politicians to engineers and old corporate businessmen and what have you, have somehow found their way onto these boards that I must report to. And if I've got real-time monitoring of all of these things that we've mentioned, it's very easy for me to report. There's so many different software packages out there, whether you use Smart, or whether you use Seymour, whether you use Sensing Clues or whatever. There's so many of them. And I think it's a wise investment to make into the people and to be able to report back on demand. The training and upskilling. So, I'm preaching the converted. I know you guys know these things already. So I'll just skim through them pretty fast. I just do believe that all training needs to be continuous. It can't be a once-off. So the people that I trained up, in 1996, still going through training to this very day. And there's new technologies coming in. There's new techniques. There's new court procedures, rules of engagement, standard operational procedures, etc. And these things have to become almost like muscle memory as well. And we monitor, we test in the field all the time. If it's a boring week and there's no incursions, go out there and put some tracks down. Sneak out there at night and let off a gunshot, and then measure them on their detection rate, the accuracy of the information, how they respond to that information, and what is the conclusion. That's just a whole lot of stuff that we have in our training manuals. But look at the bottom over there. The second last bullet point, trauma first aid, and there's a number of different courses that one can do. Ramp and stop the bleed. We found that to become a security officer in a national park here, all you needed was a grade 1 first aid certificate, which is literally 2 hours watching somebody do chest compressions on a dummy doll, and then you get a certificate. But that's not good enough to protect your team from falling off the back of a vehicle, or choking on their staff rations, or getting gored by a buffalo or an elephant. And these things do happen out here, getting dragged out of your tent by lions at night, etc. So we must give them the skills to keep them safe in the bush. And then we provide incentives. So every one of those points that you see there, there's somebody in the team that is the specialist. They'll wear a badge, and so he'll be the certificate. The other one will be the crime scene manager, the trauma first aid guy, or girl in this case, etc. And then we will add a little bit to their salary as an incentive. So you go on that course and you pass that course well, then you become that officer in the team, carry the responsibilities for the team, and we will reward you for that. So what do you do with an anti-poaching ranger once he's reached sergeant level, he or she? Is that now a lifetime career where they patrol the same routes every day? And it could get quite mundane. So if we want to keep them, we have to keep upskilling, we have to keep the interest alive, and we have to provide incentives within the team. So some of them will have all of these badges on their uniforms. They look like a North Korean general, with all these little stickers and things all over themselves. But that means for every one of those tiers, they're getting an extra 500 or 250 Rand on top of their salary. When I want to chastise them, the vehicle was dirty on patrol, the equipment checks, there were a few things missing, etc., I don't influence their basic salary, because I know that's feeding people back in the village and at home, and so on and so on. But I can say, all right, now you're not entitled to your incentive on top of your salary for this week because you didn't fulfill your responsibilities there. So that's what I mean when I talk about incentives. Equipping rangers, we all know that the more successful you are, the more you're putting the poachers under pressure. So they start using the suboptimal poaching times or hunting times, so they'll be coming in at nighttime. Now suddenly our senses are compromised. If we weren't putting pressure on them, they would be hunting in the broad daylight, as they did in the beginning when I came here. The fact that they're going in at the dead of night now means that they're under pressure. They'll put sponge under their shoes to disguise their tracks. They put silencers on their weapons so they can remain undetected when they pull the trigger. So on and so on and so on. So we have to upskill. Our senses as human beings fail us when the sun goes down, unfortunately. So we need equipment or allies. Just think of Nicus Copernicus and Louis Pasteur and those guys. They couldn't do their work unless they had instruments to enhance the senses that we have as humans, be it microscopes or telescopes or whatever it was. So there's daytime equipment and nighttime equipment. We must enhance our eyes, our ears, and our noses. Of course, we have night vision, and there's various different technologies out there. Canines have been a great resource for us. One keeps harassing me whilst I'm giving the talk. And acoustic detectors. They're all available. They're over the counter, but put these tools in the toolbox of your rangers, and it's a massive force multiplier. You've made such a huge investment into your human resources that you're deploying out there. Now, why not add to that? Imagine you're a hunter and you've got a rifle that has so many capabilities, but if you put a scope on that rifle, you've suddenly upped the game of that rifle and you've made the hunter more effective. And it's the same with our guys. We must equip them correctly because we've already made that massive investment. Anyway, I think wearing authoritarian uniforms, I like to call it that, that's a stock picture, by the way, that one up on the top left of my screen. That's definitely not one of mine. I just found that lurking around on the Google machine. But it's fascinating. He's wearing a ghillie suit and it's obviously staged. But anyway, so give them uniforms that everybody knows these guys mean business. We brand our vehicles with shiny stickers, wildlife security, anti-poaching, blah, 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 because those neural pathways that are fired up when you see that sort of thing immediately puts you on the back foot and you think twice.